Hello lovelies, how are you all doing today? I hope you are well. I am. Still really chilly, but I've got my polar bear on again today, which it has to be the most unflattering item of clothing I've ever worn in my life, but I don't care. It's warm and 2 thermal layers underneath. We're going to just have a little chat across the kitchen table, and I was going to be trying this with you all today, the peach, apricot and apple pressed juice from Biona. I cannot get it open. Now, before everyone writes in with hints and tips for opening bottles and jars, I've done the lot on this bottle. I wonder if I've loosened it at all. No, I've done all the tricks and tips you can imagine. I've spent about the last 15 minutes trying to get into it, cannot get into it. I mean, that's just ludicrously tight. Why do they have to be on so tight? Obviously they need to be on tight for the seal and to not spill in transit, but that's ridiculous. So I'm going to, I think I've got an old-fashioned tin opener, not the one you clip on the side and wind around, but you know, the one that you sort of poke a hole into. I think that's how I'm going to have to get in. So instead, I've made myself a mug of hot chocolate. Far too hot, Vivi, far too hot. Right, so I'm just having a really quick breather. This should be a bit of a quick one today. Quick breather because, it's just, life seems so busy and hectic at the moment, and you know, that's fine, it's just lots going on. So for instance, I've literally just, about 20 minutes ago, because 15 minutes of the intervening 20 minutes has been spent trying to get into the bottle and then a couple of minutes to make my chocolate. So about 20 minutes ago, I've just said cheerio to the fire safety inspector. So the whole properties had to have a fire safety inspection again, because it was done a year ago before I'd moved in and it failed on a number of points. Now I'm hoping, it looks like we've done enough, pretty much, yeah, it looks, I mean, I just had a quick word with him on the way out, and fingers crossed everything is now to his satisfaction. This is a responsibility that falls on me as the freeholder, but I am going to, so today his cost, I am going to ask the other 2 properties to chip into the cost, because, you know, they're both making money from their properties. I'm not, why should I anyway. Yeah, the main thing is I shall now await that report, and hopefully everything is okay. They've said, you know, like my front door, I know my front door isn't a fire door, I don't want to change it. You know, a big heavy door that is on that kind of automatic, it's not automatic, but it's on a closing device. And I find them really, I know it's going to sound silly, but I find them quite difficult to manage, because for instance, if I'm going out of my front door and I'm going shopping, so I open my front door, it stays open, I walk out with my shopping trolley and my walking stick, turn around, close the door behind me, lock, go out. This is my personal front door rather than the street door. Now with those automatic, those heavy weighted, they want to close on you, you've got to hold it open with one arm to get through. So it's like, okay, well, a trolley and anyway, you get the gist. So yes, I await that report and hope it's okay. My paperwork, he's inspected my paperwork and that's all fine, since I've been doing all the monthly tests and the annual long endurance test. So here's hoping. Anyway, so yeah, quick breather. Now, in the meantime, since I last saw you, yesterday evening, I don't know, about 10 o'clock, I was finished with my day. It was really chilly, so I got one of my quilts onto the sofa and curled up with my Treats for a Tenner DVD. Yay! To Catch a Thief, Cary Grant, Grace Kelly. It's an Alfred Hitchcock film from 1955. Oh my goodness. Well, I love Cary Grant. It's set on the French Riviera, so the setting is gorgeous and it's a part of the world I really love. But I mean, the whole film, it's absurdly glamorous and elegant and sparkling. It's ridiculous. It's a proper, I think we'd say now it's a sort of lifestyle film. Yeah, you know, stunning. In terms of the storyline, I'm not giving anything away with this, but Cary Grant, his character was a jewellery thief. What we'd call a cat burglar in those days, as in scampers along the rooftops, comes down through open windows, jewel thief. He's given up that life. It's 15 years later, it's now 1955, and there's been a spate of jewellery thefts along the French Riviera. So the police are pinning it on him. They say it must be him because he's the cat, he's known as the cat. He knows he's innocent, or that's what that's what we're led to believe. And so the film is all about him trying to dodge the police, find out who's doing the burglaries so he can get that person to the police, not him. That's it in essence. So yeah, it's a fun yarn, In terms of suspense, in terms of that Hitchcockian suspense, it's not in the same league as, say, Psycho. I don't think it's particularly suspenseful. It's just a very pretty, glamorous, gorgeous film to watch. I mean, Cary Grant, he just melts. Who doesn't he melt? That sort of suave, debonair elegance of his, gorgeous. But he can also goof it up. He can play the clown brilliantly. Grace Kelly, I mean, she's a painting, isn't she? It's funny, watching it, I was thinking, I don't particularly rate her as an actor. I mean, she can speak, she can say the right lines in the right order, standing in a very pretty position, but it's a little bit, is there anything going on? Who cares? It's a bit of glamour. The only thing that I would really criticise with it, and it's probably the period it was filmed, 55, is the kissing is rubbish. They basically, for a kiss, and this is supposed to be a snog, a passionate kiss, they've both got their mouths closed. It's like they go it's just like, and then as they come out of the kiss, you can see they've both got sort of pursed lips shut. It's weird. The kissing is rubbish. Cary, you're a rubbish kisser. I bet he was a good kisser in real life. Anyway, fun. And what did it cost me? I think it was 50p. So I will either send it to a charity shop, or I might try and, flog it online. I might even get a quid for it. Who knows? Yeah, thoroughly enjoyed it. Also, whilst I was watching, because I'm a bit of a multitasker, I've got a bit of a basket near the sofa, random bits of notes, bits of stuff going, it's random basket of chat. I was looking through it last night thinking, I need to sort this. I haven't properly sorted it because, I allowed myself to wallow in the film. There's a moment where they swim out to a pontoon in the sea, and it's the joy of swimming in that azure sea. Bliss. That time my sister and I spent in the south of France, so special, I loved it. I'd love to get back one day. Anyway, yes, the random basket of chat, things it threw up. There was something I'd made a note of, and it was to do with the garden, and I think it was to do with me talking about, yummy, to do with using the rubble from the shed to fill in the cracks in the patio. Or it might have been the fact that I got that set of shelves. I managed to get it second hand, but I got a set of shelves rather than wood. Something that I've noted around here is the lack of skips. So my skip diving opportunities have been nixed. Now, it's possibly because I'm in the old town and the streets are quite narrow. maybe people aren't just not, they're just not getting their skip permits. Maybe they're having to have their rubbish. I'm talking about when people have building works. I always need to make this differentiation for viewers across the Atlantic. Our skips are not like what you would call a dumpster, where it's just general rubbish, like including food rubbish, wet rubbish that gets stinky and horrible. Our skips are generally for dry rubbish, like building materials. So timber, tiles, MDF. That's where I've managed to scavenge so much of my stuff over the years. I got those beautiful Edwardian taps out of a skip that I then sold to pay for my bathroom in London. Anyway, just not seeing any. So I wonder if, because of the whole conservation thing, narrow streets, whether when people are doing building work, if they're having to sort of hoard the rubbish indoors and then have a lorry drive by and do a collection, rather than having skips. It may be that in new Swanage and on some of the flatter roads, wider roads, maybe there are skips. But yeah, so maybe my skip diving days are over. I still look out. It's that, you know, I think it's I think it's a allotment. Sorry, I'm wriggly today. Allotmenteers do it anyway. But I think also, you know, as a sort of a DIYer and doing everything myself at home, I was always on the lookout for skips. And quite often, word would go around at the allotment about a good skip. So Gary would often say, oh, there's a good skip at the top of our street at the moment. Do you need X, Y, Z? Brilliant. Kai, one of my friends from back there, she was a skip diver too. And in fact, oh, it was that mirror, wasn't it, with the plaster, with the gilded plaster frame. I'd seen it in a skip on my way to the plot, and I wasn't going to the plot to do any work. I think I was just dropping something off. So I saw it and I thought, right, I'm going to have you on my way home. Went to the plot, and then within 10 minutes later I was coming back past the skip and it had gone. I thought, oh no! And then it turned out, because oh, I think it was Kai's birthday. Kai had a birthday party, and I was at her birthday party, and we were chatting, and the skip diving came up, and she said, "Oh, I found a brilliant." She found the blooming frame that I'd seen, because I said, "What was it in the skip outside number on whatever street?" She said, "Yeah, on such and such." Yeah, I mean, it's only been a couple of days before. Darn it! I said that was mine. I saw it first. Seeing it doesn't count. You've got to grab it. Anyway, that was a random thought on a random note from, and like I said, I don't know what this was with reference to, but I'd made a note to chat about it in the garden at some point and then forgot. Also, now this is really random. Don't know where this came from. I've got a note here. And I don't know what it stemmed from. I must have been listening to something, watching something, and it sparked it about maybe puzzles in comic books when I was a kid. Anyway, I just made the note that, do you remember doing Spot the Difference puzzles? I loved doing Spot the Difference. Do kids' comics still have Spot the Difference in them? Why can't we have grown-up ones? Yeah, so let's you know, have our Sudoku, have our killer, have all those things. But can the newspapers do a Spot the Difference for us grown-ups? I love Spot the Difference. But I also made a note, I mean, look, it's a little scrap of paper. It looks like, it says on the back, bath. I don't need a note to tell me to have a bath. Or maybe it said bird bath or something. Anyway, I also made the note to myself of maze games. So in kids' comics, you know, there'd be like, I don't know, a circle, and there'd be a rabbit on the outside and a carrot in the middle, and you had to find your way through the maze to help the rabbit find the carrot. Hated those. I found them utterly boring, dull as ditch. I'm sure most of you remember these kind of games as well. I loved puzzles in comics when I was a kid, or you know, little bits like dot to dots and filling bits in, and yeah. You know, a few years ago there was a trend, I think it's probably kind of waned now, for adult colouring books. I mean, I know they're still around, but never mind adult colouring books, adult puzzle books that aren't the usual thing of word search and Sudoku and all that. I mean, literally these kind of kids puzzles, but done for grown-ups. I'd love that. Oh, maybe I should corner the market. Continuing with the randomness, listening to an episode of QI. Oh, this has got my, this is writing on scraps of paper. Look, this was when I was making a note. So this must have been early last year, 2025. So I've written this, my note on this scrap of paper, but on the other side is my plans for food for the day in the right-hand column, and what I actually had in my left-hand column to tally my calories for the day. So on that day, I had, and then at 10:15, so I had a total of 1,079 calories, which probably wasn't enough. But anyway, I seemed perfectly happy that day. Never mind that. Yeah, the note on the other side, and I heard this on QI, is, this is so random, when we blush, our stomach lining also blushes. That's mad. Why? Why does our stomach blush? So when we're blushing, our stomach is also blushing. But my question was, never mind that, this is even more mad. How on earth was that discovered? Who discovered that? What were they doing when that was discovered? What were they looking for? So my mind is now racing on that subject. Bonkers. Bonkers. But I love the idea of it. So next time you're with someone and they blush, actually it's rude to point out when someone's blushing, isn't it? Because usually someone's blushing because they're shy or embarrassed. But if it's someone that you know well enough, when they blush, let them know that their stomach is also blushing. Weird. There's a couple of grumbles. I'll leave that for another day. Now this is so lovely. This was a Christmas present from Sarah Nean, and there's a bit more to come. This was a bar of chocolate when I kept the wrapper. Look at that wrapper, can you see it's all sparkly, twinky? Isn't that gorgeous? So the chocolate was rhubarb and custard white chocolate. It's so good. But what I love about this, and I've got a couple of seed packets here, which I'll show you in more detail when we talk about seeds, is these are sold, it's a charity called Art House Unlimited. I can't remember, won't like to focus on that. Art House Unlimited. And it says, Art House Unlimited is a charity presenting artistic talents of adults with complex, neurodiverse and physical support needs. Offering a sense of purpose lies at the heart of the charity. 100% of sales revenue helps support its sustainability and growth. And this image is called Peace by Laura Allen. I love that. I absolutely love it. And it's, you see, like I said, I'll go into a bit more detail with these packets because they're also beautiful and all sparkling, twinkling. Just so colourful, joyful, gorgeous. And I love the idea of a gift. And I think more and more of us are, I mean, goodness knows the bills and everything. I think a lot of folk are scaling back on gifting, or even saying let's not do any gifting at all. But if you are still doing some gifting, and you know, little gift or whatever it is, what could be more lovely than something that's a gorgeous gift in and of itself? Chocolate in a beautiful, gorgeous, cheerful packet, but also that at the same time is doing some good for someone else. So if I was to buy that, I would have the joy of buying it, knowing it's doing that particular charity or organisation and some good. The joy of giving it because it's so joyful and beautiful. and the recipient's joy of receiving such a lovely thing. Absolutely gorgeous. So Sarah and Ian, thank you. And like I said, when it comes, I'm going to be doing a chat about seeds very soon, because it's that time of year, isn't it? I'll show you those packets in more detail because they're absolutely gorgeous. I showed them to Richard and Paul when they were here, and yeah, they were transfixed too. I think Paul would have liked one of those seed packets. Maybe, maybe I'll find one for him next year, Shh, don't tell him though. Oh, right, okay, cracking on. A couple of books. This one, The Service Berry, which is a shrub tree by Robin Wall Kimmerer. So I've spoken of her often. The first book of hers I read was Braiding Sweetgrass, lovely. That was a gift from, I think, Sarah, a different Sarah. I can't double check because it's still packed. Also, Gathering Moss. So this one, it has, the subtitle is Abundance and Reciprocity in the Natural World. So for anyone who doesn't know Robin Wall Kimmerer, there she is. Oh, even how she looks, I look at her, I think, I bet you give really, really good hugs. She is a native North American from the I have to read it every time, Potawatomi Nation. She is a biologist, a scientist, a lecturer. So all her books draw from those two sides of her, from her sort of native and traditional knowledge and practices that have been passed down, plus her sort of modern science head, or her Western science head, if you like. And so abundance and reciprocity. At its most simple level, this book is all about the idea of gifting. I was just talking about gifting with that beautiful Art House Unlimited was the name, Art House Unlimited chocolate bar. She's talking about the service berry bush, and she's harvesting berries. And these berries are a gift from the plant. She's taking them as a gift. And one thinks with gifting about gifting back, but it's not as straightforward as necessarily gifting back to the tree. She could gift back to the tree by, for example, giving it some water. The tree might be thirsty. She could gift back to the tree by removing any weeds that are threatening to choke it. She could gift back to it by giving it some mulch. But she could also gift back to the tree by ensuring she puts out water for the birds to drink. The birds will drink the water, and then later on they'll go to the tree, they'll have some berries, and then fly off, and some miles later they'll poop out one of the berry seeds, so the tree gets to propagate further away because the tree can't walk to propagate itself. So it's very much, it's sort of everything is, it's, you know, passing it on to the next thing. So it's that continual giving and taking within our beautiful world. She goes further with it. So in a way, it's a book about economy, because we live in this capitalist consumerist society, and she dreams of this more reciprocal society, a gifting economy, she calls it. So I've read it. I'm going to reread it because it's quite thought dense. Hang on, have I got one slug of chocolate left? Hang on. It's quite cold. Yeah, drinks go cold quickly in this weather, don't they? Yes, it's thought-provoking. It's how I think and feel. So it's not thought-provoking as in it's challenging me. You know, I talked about in a couple of videos back about, or might be yet to come, about reading books which challenge me and really make me kind of go, oh, maybe I need to rethink things. So it's not thought-provoking in that way. It's thought-provoking as in, wouldn't this be wonderful? How is it possible? So I think it's worth a second read, because it is quite, it's quite dense in that way. I don't mean it's a turgid read, not by any means, but yeah, it's worth dwelling on. I marked a couple of pages. So for instance, as well, she's talking, so she's using the serviceberry bush tree shrub as an analogy throughout it, and talking about harvesting and taking enough for her, or if she knows that her neighbour isn't able to harvest, taking enough for herself and her neighbour and taking them to her neighbour. And talking about this aspect, idea of enough. I mean, this is something I've talked about too, about, you know, in terms of need versus want, recognising need versus want. And when we go shopping, we buy what we need. And because otherwise, you know, generally most of us have more than enough of everything. The only thing we don't have enough of is food. We need to keep going back and getting a bit more food because obviously we've consumed it, it's gone. But in terms of, you know, scatter cushions, rugs, mugs, scented candles, whatever it is, we have enough. Most of us will have enough of that in our home, probably more than enough. But she talks about enoughness. Recognising enoughness is a radical act in an economy that is always urging us to consume more. I loved that sentence, and I thought, yeah, I'm doing this radical act by recognising I have enough and just not buying into this, I was going to say myth of consumerism. It's not a myth of consumerism, it's there, but buying into the myth that we always need the latest thing and the newest thing. You get, yeah, that'll just give you a slight idea of her philosophy. So there's another one. So it's very much about, you know, economics, consuming, and not just consumerism, but whatever we consume. She says, a fellow tribal member captured my thoughts when she wrote, if the economy requires people to consume more resources than the earth can replenish just to keep the whole thing from collapsing, isn't it time for a new economy? Hear, hear. Yeah, I mean, I've got loads of little bits marked. That's why I want to read it again, because there's so much to it. I loved it. I love this woman. I just have that feeling of, and I had it straight away with braiding sweetgrass. She's the kind of person that I would, if I was out for a walk and picking blackberries, I just love to quietly pick blackberries alongside her, and then afterwards to sit down and, you know, share bits of our picnic or whatever we brought with us and have a blooming good hug from her. What an absolutely beautiful soul she has, and such just a gorgeous respect for this planet and the abundance that is there, but how to enjoy the abundance without abusing it. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful woman. I highly recommend it. I recommended all of her books, just keeping an eye on the clock. And any that you get a chance to read. I'm going to try this again to see if all my... Oh, God alive, no. You know, because sometimes, you know what it's like when you've tried to unscrew a jar and you can't, and you've probably just given it a nudge, and then a friend comes along and goes, boop! I really, 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 really want some. I think it's because, you know, obviously this first week and a bit of January, I'm back to no sugar, and I think I'm craving sweetness, having indulged way too much, way too much over Christmas, New Year. Right, I'm going to wrap up, but the last thing is... Oh no, this blinket, right, you're going off. Honestly, don't know why it's losing focus. I haven't changed anything since, because it was doing it really, was it about a year ago? So I'm jinxing myself. And then what did I change it to? Manual, did I change it to manual or autofocus? I can't remember, but I changed it and it fixed the problem. And it seems it's just crept back to having that problem. Never mind, let's carry on. I also have this. as a gift from a family member. Platform tickets a shilling. And it's funny because I'd actually looked at this very sign back in, was it the beginning of November, when the guys were down for that quickie little visit. We went up to the station, they didn't realise there was a shop, and I was like, yeah, it's a little shop, so we went in and had a mooch. And was it on that occasion? Anyway, I picked that up because I thought, oh, I don't have a platform ticket sign, and it's for my loo door, and it's perfect because where the loo's, it's a panel door, 4-panel door, so there's a broad bit in the middle. It's going to go on my loo door. Cute though, isn't it? But it did remind me of, you know, we don't have platform tickets anymore. Now look, if you're a little countryside or even, you know, suburban station, so at my old station in London, there were no barriers. You didn't have to put a ticket into the barrier in order to get onto the platform. So you could go onto the platform. Platform tickets, yeah, you bring them back because you want to, if you're seeing someone off, it's the most lovely thing in the world to be seen off at a train station. Your family member, your lover, your friend, whatever it is, they come with you to the station, you get onto the train, you lean out of the window. You can't lean out of windows anymore, can you? More of this chat actually, because there's another book I've been reading, but that thing of being able to lean out of the train window as the train's pulling out, and you wave and you wave and you wave to your family member or loved one. You might have a little tear in your eye, whatever it is, and they can do that because they can get onto the platform because you could buy a platform ticket. I remember when I left the Northwest to come to London back in 1990, a ton of friends came to see me off at Manchester Piccadilly, and yeah, I had the gulp moment, leaning out the window, seeing my friends getting smaller and smaller and smaller at the end of the platform. But yeah, so I love that. It makes me nostalgic for the time of platform tickets. I've had a couple of occasions when I've wanted, you know, in current times to see someone off, and I've said, will you allow me onto the platform? There's no such thing as a platform ticket. I don't have a ticket to put into the barrier, because a lot of our stations now, you have to put a ticket into the slot. So you can be on the station, like at the big stations, you can be on the big station concourse but not on the platform, so you just have to hope there's a friendly person on the ticket gates who will say, yeah, go on, I'll let you through, and just hope that they're still there when you come back and recognise you. It's like, no, I haven't just got off a train, I'm not a train jumper, a fare dodger, I was just on the platform seeing someone off. It's just so romantic to see someone off, isn't it? Bring back platform tickets so we can have romantic encounters at train stations again. I really, really, really want that. I'll be talking a little bit more about that in the next one. But I think for now, I've gone blurry again. Maybe it's the light. Maybe it's because it's obviously this very poor light at this time of year. I'm going to have a fiddle with it. Anyway. Please don't send in all your advice. I need to just fiddle with it and try something on my own. But yes, I think I need another mug of this, another crack at that, or just get the old tin opener out. Get on with it. I need to start thinking about getting some soup hot for my lunch. I'm having tomato soup for lunch today, so I better take this off before I eat tomato soup. And a creamy polar bear coloured fleece is not going to work. Alright lovelies, anyway, thanks for joining me at the table for a bit of table natter, table chat, whatever. I will see you all really soon. I can't think what's coming up. Hopefully, if the temperature starts to come up a bit and it's not raining, we might get some time outside, because my thoughts are turning towards the garden somewhat. We'll certainly talk about the seeds, and I'll show you those gorgeous, gorgeous Art House unlimited seed packets. We'll keep quick flashing them again before we go. Aren't they gorgeous? They're so jolly and dynamic. I love them. I love them. Bravo, that organisation. Right, lovelies, I'm waffling. I'm going. I want my tomato soup. See you soon. Until then, cheerio.